My 32 meters wife, 30F, cheated, now she's got what's coming? R/Ida update 1, the beginning of the end. Hey Reddit. I feel like my life is writing a movie right now. My wife, Lisa 30F, and I, 32 meters, have been together for 10 years, married for 5. I always thought we had a happy marriage, but that was clearly an illusion. A few weeks ago, I noticed Lisa constantly checking her phone and spending more time out of the house. At first, I thought it was because of her new job, but my gut told me otherwise. So, I started to investigate a bit. And sure enough, I found messages from a guy named Tom. The messages were explicit. She's cheating on me. I'm devastated, but I don't want to overreact. I'm gathering evidence and planning my next steps. Update 2, confrontation and denial. Hi everyone. Thanks for all your advice and support. I confronted Lisa, and she denied everything. She claimed Tom was just a colleague and I was overreacting. But I had seen the messages, they were too intimate to be just friendship. I told her I had evidence and she went silent. She then admitted she had developed feelings for him, but nothing physical had happened. I don't know if I can believe her. We agreed to go to a marriage counselor to see if our marriage could be saved. In the meantime, I contacted a lawyer to know my options in case it doesn't work out. Update 3, the truth comes out. Hello again. We've been to a few counseling sessions now, but it feels like Lisa isn't really invested. I continued investigating and found out she's been cheating on me for months, and it's not just emotional. She lied and cheated while I gave everything for our relationship. I've had enough. I made a decision. I'm filing for divorce. I've gathered all the evidence and am ready to end this nightmare. It's tough, but I know it's the best thing to do. Update 4, a final blow. Hi everyone. I filed for divorce and confronted Lisa with it. She was shocked and started crying, but I stayed strong. I told her I couldn't be with someone who betrayed me like that. But that's not all. I also informed her family and friends about the situation. Some of them already knew about the affair and supported me, while others were shocked. It was hard, but it was necessary. I decided to keep the house since it's under my name. Lisa has to move out, and I'm starting a new chapter in my life. It's not easy, but I know I'll come out stronger. Final update, a new beginning. Hey Reddit. It's been a few months since I separated from Lisa. The divorce is almost finalized, and I feel liberated. I've started dating again and reorganizing my life. Lisa tried to reach out, but I'm keeping my distance. I know it's the best thing for me. I've learned a lot about myself and now know that I deserve to be respected and loved. Thanks to everyone who supported me here. You helped me stay strong and find my path. Until next time, a free man. Ada for wanting to divorce my wife. My wife and I have been married for 18 years. We are both 36 years old. Although, we've had our ups and downs with separation and near divorce. We've managed to stay together. We had kids 20M, 17F, 11F very young, which is why we got married so young. Marriage never crossed my mind growing up, but after our unplanned pregnancy, it was the right thing to do. About a year into our marriage, I was working out of state. She had an affair and had gotten pregnant. I thought I could forgive and forget, so I stayed, but life is never that easy. That was 17 years ago and I raised my daughter as my own. But I was never able to forgive her. It's always been in the back of my mind, eating away. We have tried marriage counseling twice before, which didn't really do much, just bring the past to the surface but no solution. This is what caused our near divorce before. But when I left, the feeling of being alone without my kids made me come back and try to make it work again. Although my wife and I don't argue or fight, have date nights regularly, and a healthy sex life, I hate being married. I would have never thought in a million years that I would have been married this long. I do not see a long-lasting marriage as an accomplishment, no offense to lifelong partners. I honestly just do not love her. She is not the type of woman that I wanted to spend my life with. But, I never wanted our kids to grow up without both parents together, which is why I stayed this long. I believe that having both parents present significantly affects your children's development in a positive way. Even though I've been wanting divorce and have been planning on it once my 11-year-old turns 18, within the past year the feeling has intensified. I just can't see myself leaving again because the feeling of sleeping in another home away from my kids kills me. Sorry for the long post, I just had to tell someone. For the earlier comments, I left the details of the affair out because my thinking is that if I choose to forgive her, then I choose to forget it also, and bringing it up would be throwing it in her face, which is something I don't think is right. Relevant comments. Shared custody kinda sucks, but I can say it doesn't suck forever. When you don't have them, allow yourself to have a life. This is time you have to work on yourself, explore hobbies, and eventually start dating. I miss my boy when he's with his mother, but it seems like we have more quality time when he is with me. Also, even when he's with his mom, we'll still play Helldivers or something most evenings. Next. Resentment unfortunately does build over time and can kill a marriage. 7 years may be too long. Agree to never tell our kids the truth, and it might be best to seek a divorce instead of wasting 7 years on both ends. Though through DNA testing the daughter will likely find out one day, but by then it's her mother's duty to talk. Make sure that is clear too before you seek divorce. Just advice. Good luck. Next. It does so much more damage than good. Just divorce. Show your kids that being miserable isn't normal. It's okay to separate and still survive. I was taught that relationships are work by people who hate work. They think misery of any kind is work. Relationships take growth, and sometimes you need to be apart for growth, and sometimes you can't ever be together again because you grew up and it's not good for either of you. That's okay. The dream of being high school sweethearts and being married till you die is cute, but it's not reality. My grandparents have been together almost 70 years. They should have separated 70 years ago. So what's your opinion? Ida for telling my aunt I have sex. I, 28 am, have autism spectrum disorder. I am semi-verbal and sometimes use British Sign Language, sign-supported English or a computer device to communicate when I struggle to vocalize, which is not all the time. I have a job and live independently. I know my movements, my voice and intonation are strange, and I stim when I am upset or happy. I struggle to read people, I don't make eye contact, and I often don't express myself correctly. I am lucky to be surrounded by understanding people for the most part, especially my girlfriend 29F, who I have been in a relationship with for 10 years now, and I am planning on asking her to marry me shortly. I am very excited because I think she will say yes, and then she will be my wife and we can be married together. During lockdown, my family and I, girlfriend included, have been keeping in touch via Zoom meetings. I have a younger cousin, 25M, who is also autistic and cannot live independently. My aunt is his primary caretaker, and last week she was talking about a support group she has been attending for parents of autistic children. She was saying how she is like the mom of the group because she has the most experience. She said that she also talks about me in the group, how I use my hands and computer to talk, how my little job lets me help out with the numbers because I like maths, and how sweet my girlfriend is for caring for me. My girlfriend corrected her, saying she doesn't care for me in that sense, and I was confused because I work in the finance department of a company. I calculate and organize the numbers. And I do talk sometimes. My aunt rolled her eyes and said she knows I try to be independent, but I do need help, and after talking some more it turned out that my aunt believed my girlfriend was not my girlfriend, but my live-in carer, my girlfriend is NT, and that everyone humored me because I had a crush on her. She became quite upset upon finding out that this was not the case, and believes our relationship is inappropriate because I am practically a child. I shouted that I am not a child, I am a grown man with a degree and a job and a girlfriend who I love and have sex with because I am an adult, and she started saying that I should shut up and stop being vulgar, but I was upset and I told her that my girlfriend and I have an adult relationship where we have sex frequently and often, and I thoroughly enjoy having sex because I am a grown man with a sex drive, and at this point I left the call. My girlfriend tells me that my anger was justified because my aunt was infantilizing me, but maybe I should have left out the sexual details. My parents say I should apologize. My grandpa thinks the whole thing is very funny. I am very confused because everyone says such different things. Am I the asshole? TDR, my aunt thinks that I am like a child because I have ASD and says my relationship with my NT girlfriend is inappropriate, so I told her we have sex. Relevant comments. Throw I asked nephew. Up. 3 years ago. Thank you everyone for your thoughts and rewards. A few people have said it might have been inappropriate for me to mention my sex life with my girlfriend. I brought that up specifically because my aunt insinuated my girlfriend was some sort of predator for pursuing an adult relationship with me, and that made me angry. I asked my girlfriend if she was mad at me and she said no, but I should avoid bringing it up in the future. I have made a note of this. Many of you are praising my grandpa. I like this. My grandpa is my favorite family member. We think he also may be autistic, but he comes from a generation where neurodiversity was not well understood or noticed like nowadays. Ironically, my uncle, aunt's husband, is well aware of the nature of my relationship with my girlfriend, as he is the one who gifted me my first pack of condoms at age 20 when I felt ready to become sexually active. Next comment. Fresh outtake patience. Emphasizing all the sexual aspects made her uncomfortable, and she hold be uncomfortable. She should not be assuming anything about your life based on her experience with her son. That's her mistake. She styled herself as an expert and you made it very obvious that she wasn't in a really awesome way. She clearly doesn't really truly understand neurodiversity and doesn't want to because of how it makes her feel. You just found the most obvious reason and made it abundantly clear. Good for you. I'm with you and your grandfather on this one all the way. So what's your opinion? Ada for ghosting my girlfriend after she nearly killed both of us. So, my girlfriend 20F and I, 22 meters, have been together for a little over 10 months now. We haven't had any heated arguments or fights, except for the fact that she keeps tickling me randomly despite the fact that I've repeatedly told her to never do it again because I can act strangely to it, something from my childhood which I won't delve into. Now to get to the current situation, this week I've had my car returned from a paint job and some major look changes, and I was really satisfied with the results, so I took a day off from work and took my girlfriend on a short trip outside the city. We drove to a lake, ate some food and relaxed for a couple of hours until it got pretty dark, and we decided to head back home to get some sleep as I had to go to work the next day and she had an exam. On the way home, I started talking about how happy I felt with the paint job turned out, and out of nowhere, she starts tickling me. I pushed her hand away and told her to stop, then she reached for my ribs with both hands and got me swerving off the road. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, although my car got some deep scratches, but that doesn't even matter anymore, as I already slowed down after her first attempt to tickle me. I'll admit that I told her what the fuck is wrong with you as soon as we stepped out of the car and she started crying, but I couldn't care less as I felt as if my veins were about to pop. When we got home, I told her to pack her things and go to her best friend, but she threw a tantrum and begged me to forgive her for a little mistake. I didn't say a word, I simply stared in disgust and pointed to her luggage. After her friend picked her up, I tried to go to sleep, but my mind was racing, so I barely got any rest. This happened on Tuesday, and she's been blowing up my phone ever since, but I haven't answered any calls or texts and just blocked her. This led to her friend coming to my house and telling me to at least hear my girlfriend out, but I've told her to fuck off and leave me alone, which made her tell me that I'm more in love with the car than with my girlfriend. So, Ada, in this situation, should I talk to my girlfriend? I already feel like I can't trust her after what happened and that our relationship can't be fixed. Relevant comments. NTA, she's a fucking idiot. It wasn't just a little mistake, you don't mess with someone while driving. Period. You've also told her time and time again not to tickle you, and she refuses to respect that boundary, to the point of putting you and everyone on the road around you in danger. She can fuck right off, emo. Next comment. I much prefer those situations rather than where the only person to survive, say a crash, is the drunk driver responsible. Truly a tragedy, innocent lives lost, and yet somehow they live forced to bear all that guilt, loss, and enmity. While they earned all those horrible feelings and consequences for their actions, truly what they deserved is to have taken their place in the grave. I could only hope for a world so fair that only those who cause these crazy situations are the ones who have to suffer from them. Next comment. That article is frustrating. When her bikini top came off, you mean when she was sexually assaulted while driving? Apparently this is more common a thing than I realized, given there was a post today of some dude doing that to a lady at a pool party. Yet some dudes will be like, I don't know how to act around women, I'm afraid of getting me too'd. Not removing their clothing without consent is a good start. So what's your opinion? Ada, for refusing to attend my friend's man-free wedding. English is not my first language, apologies for any mistakes. My 30F friend Lisa, 34F, is marrying her fiancée Sophie, 35F, in 2 months. I've known both of them for several years, and I am, or at least was until this whole debacle, quite close with Lisa, so I was not surprised that they've invited me to the wedding. However, on the invitation it was noted that it's a man-free event, meaning that no men are allowed to be there. Despite not being a man myself, I felt that it was a weird decision on their part. I'm also on good terms with Lisa's brother, 28M, so I texted him to ask if he knows what's up with that whole thing and if at least brides' families are exceptions to the no men rule. Apparently both him and his and Lisa's father are not invited. He doesn't know about Sophie's family but assumes it's the same with them, and he has no idea what prompted the rule. He says that it presented has, emo understandably, turned into a whole family dispute. I think I wouldn't have gone anyway because not allowing the presence of any men at all just feels weird to me, but especially in light of the information I got from Lisa's brother. I called her to say that I will be unfortunately unable to attend. She asked me why and I tried to make up a good excuse, but I'm a shitty liar, so after she pressed me for a reason I told her the truth, that I think the no men rule is weird and I don't want to be involved in that. I did not tell her that I contacted her brother, just that I'm not a fan of events segregated by gender. Lisa has told me that I'm not being a good friend to her because I'm not supportive of her and Sophie wanting their wedding to be fully centered on women. I told her that it would be centered on women anyway, considering that both of the people getting married are women. She hung up and I have not heard from her since. But Sophie has been sending messages saying I have internalized misogyny. I personally think I behaved reasonably, but Lisa and Sophie evidently disagree, so am I the asshole in this situation? Relevant comment. Honestly, you are also entitled to feel really put off by it and think it isn't a good thing. Doesn't mean it needs to be said to their faces, of course, but it was a really antagonistic choice for them to make. Not only are they excluding their own family and friends, all their female friends who are not in same-sex relationships are now also barred from being able to bring their partners, where presumably same-sex couples can attend together. Next comment. Why should anyone respect gendered bigotry? The reason why she won't attend is because she does not, in fact, respect excluding a gender. I don't respect people who have contempt for all women or all men, or racists who have contempt for any race. Next comment. Wasoda. 7 hours ago. As a bi woman myself, I would say probably less of cheating worry and more that some bi women I know go all in on hardcore lesbian identity tropes when they date/marry a woman, almost as if to prove that they are WLW. We're centering on women because she wants to paint a sapphic wonderland. It's a mix of dealing with years of biphobia and a struggle to prove yourself. It doesn't always come out very well. I empathize while equally finding it cringy. And to be clear, this is my very in the dark guess. Who knows what the real reason is? So what's your opinion? Leave a comment. Ada for refusing to attend my friend's man-free wedding. English is not my first language. Apologies for any mistakes. My 30F friend Lisa, 34F, is marrying her fiancée Sophie, 35F, in 2 months. I've known both of them for several years and I am, or at least was until this whole debacle, quite close with Lisa, so I was not surprised that they've invited me to the wedding. However, on the invitation it was noted that it's a man-free event, meaning that no men are allowed to be there. Despite not being a man myself, I felt that it was a weird decision on their part. I'm also on good terms with Lisa's brother, 28M, so I texted him to ask if he knows what's up with that whole thing and if at least brides' families are exceptions to the no men rule. Apparently both him and his and Lisa's father are not invited. He doesn't know about Sophie's family but assumes it's the same with them, and he has no idea what prompted the rule. He says that it presented has, emo understandably, turned into a whole family dispute. I think I wouldn't have gone anyway because not allowing the presence of any men at all just feels weird to me, but especially in light of the information I got from Lisa's brother. I called her to say that I will be unfortunately unable to attend. She asked me why and I tried to make up a good excuse, but I'm a shitty liar, so after she pressed me for a reason I told her the truth, that I think the no men rule is weird and I don't want to be involved in that. I did not tell her that I contacted her brother, just that I'm not a fan of events segregated by gender. Lisa has told me that I'm not being a good friend to her because I'm not supportive of her and Sophie wanting their wedding to be fully centered on women. I told her that it would be centered on women anyway, considering that both of the people getting married are women. She hung up and I have not heard from her since. But Sophie has been sending messages saying I have internalized misogyny. I personally think I behaved reasonably, but Lisa and Sophie evidently disagree, so am I the asshole in this situation? Relevant comment. Honestly, you are also entitled to feel really put off by it and think it isn't a good thing. Doesn't mean it needs to be said to their faces, of course, but it was a really antagonistic choice for them to make. Not only are they excluding their own family and friends, all their female friends who are not in same-sex relationships are now also barred from being able to bring their partners, where presumably same-sex couples can attend together. Next comment. Why should anyone respect gendered bigotry? The reason why she won't attend is because she does not, in fact, respect excluding a gender. I don't respect people who have contempt for all women or all men, or racists who have contempt for any race. Next comment. Wasoda, 7 hours ago. As a bi woman myself, I would say probably less of cheating worry and more that some bi women I know go all in on hardcore lesbian identity tropes when they date/marry a woman, almost as if to prove that they are WLW. We're centering on women because she wants to paint a sapphic wonderland. It's a mix of dealing with years of biphobia and a struggle to prove yourself. It doesn't always come out very well. I empathize while equally finding it cringy. And to be clear, this is my very in the dark guess. Who knows what the real reason is? So what's your opinion? Leave a comment. My daughter just contacted me after 17 years asking if I want to meet my granddaughter. Ada for telling her that I don't care about her or her daughter and to never contact me again. I am not sure if going to provide some background. I am in my 60s now. I was married to my ex-wife, and we had a daughter. Our marriage was going through its ups and downs, but I was really close with our daughter. But as our marriage was going through its difficulties, I made a huge mistake I still regret to this day. I started having an affair with my coworker. She was in a violent, physically abusive relationship at home. We became friends at work, and things just escalated from there. She got an out from me. She got the support she needed to file for divorce from her husband, who is currently in jail now. The affair went nowhere and we called it off shortly after, but I was glad that she got off her abusive relationship and that she was safe. But when my ex-wife found out about the affair, things expectedly didn't go well. She lashed out and said a lot of horrible things about me to our daughter, who was 15 at the time. I admitted full fault with the affair, but even after the divorce, I sensed that the distance between me and my daughter was growing, until one day, my daughter said she wasn't going to speak with me anymore, and she was going to cut me off from her life forever. That was the most painful thing anyone had ever said to me. I begged her to please reconsider. I still remember that day. But time passed on. My daughter kept her word, and after trying to connect with her for the first year, I gave up. I found out from one of my mutual friends that my ex-wife married a great guy. I was happy because I was hoping that would remove the hatred from my ex-wife and my ex-wife would advise our daughter to at least rekindle a relationship with me. But that never happened. I moved states a year later. I am at peace now, but still have some aching sadness. I have retired. Both my parents have passed away. My brother passed away tragically a couple of years ago. To be honest, I am waiting for my turn. I have only my dog and my sister left. A couple of hours ago, my daughter called me on my phone. I haven't spoken to her in 17 years. I instantly recognized her voice, but I didn't feel anything. No happiness, no sadness, just indifference. She was crying a lot on the call, and we caught up on life. She's married, and she has a daughter who's now 12. She apologized for cutting off contact, and she says her mom asked her to reconnect with me, as her mom felt guilty about how everything played out. She said she really wanted me to meet her daughter, and her daughter was constantly asking about granddaddy. But I wasn't feeling anything. After we caught up on everything in our life, I told her I don't care about her or her daughter, and to never contact me again. I then hung up. Was I the relevant comments? Uda, you destroyed her childhood and her family. A choice. Where there's forgiveness, there is love. Your daughter forgave you enough to call you and apologize, and express sadness and devastation over the lost time. You responded callously and hung up on her. I have only my dog and my sister left. You had a chance to have your daughter. Next comment. Uda. 15 is a vulnerable and difficult age under the best of circumstances. Had you not destroyed her world with your actions and been a real father, you know that unconditional love thing, you would know teenagers typically say mean things to parents. She is not a hurt teenager anymore. She has matured, reflected on things in her life and reached out. Too bad she was right in the first place about you. Enjoy wallowing in your lonely misery. Next. Oh no, my actions have consequences. Who could have thought having an affair during my daughter's teenage years, ruining her home life and refusing to be a man who's supposed to show her a healthy adult relationship could have ruined my relationship with her? For fuck all cause I didn't even stay with my affair partner /S. He's not the victim here. He tried to keep in contact for a year. A fucking year. What a loser. So what's your opinion? Write a comment. Ada for not watching my friend's 27 sister 24 for a week so they could go on a camping trip, after I told them my son needed family-only time. My husband lost both his parents at young ages, and my parents are off doing their own thing. It's been just me and him from the beginning of our 18 years together. We've had friends come and go, but it has been pretty quiet for a while until we met our neighbors last year and really hit it off, and have spent a lot of time together over the months. So my 10 and 7-year-old are usually used to a bunch of just us time. My oldest asked me if we could keep it just us for a week, and really needed a break from our new friends and all the littles, their kids. It ended up being perfect timing anyway, because our new friends were about to leave for a week to go on a family camping trip. I went ahead and told them our plan, and I was going to turn off my phone and just focus on my family, and we'll just see them when they get back. My friend's sister, we'll call her Sarah, has a history of seizures, and the doctors have no idea why and have suspected her of faking them, according to Sarah's dad. Sarah did express to me earlier before the trip she didn't like staying home alone and was dreading it. Sarah was only planning on staying the weekend for camping due to work, but ended up having a seizure the day they arrived and came home early. Both my friend, we'll call them Aaron, and Sarah messaged me and asked if Sarah could stay at our house for the week, from Saturday to Friday, until the family gets back. They both live across the street in their parents' house. I was going to just say no, but against my better judgment I asked my son how he would feel about it and he almost burst into tears, but willing to accept her. I wasn't going to make him do anything he feels this strongly about. He needs me on an emotional level, and as a mother I feel like I should prioritize him and give that to him, otherwise I could hurt my relationship with him. Plus, I want to teach my children their feeling and boundaries matter. Our home is their safe place and I consider them in everything we do that could affect their comfort in it. I messaged both friends back and asked them if their mom would be willing to stay home with Sarah, because I wouldn't be able to let her stay with us. Aaron sent a couple pouty responses, but I stood my ground and went back to spending time with my kids and husband. Their mom ended up bringing Sarah home, dropped her off and went back to the campsite about 1.5 hours away. Sarah called a friend that came over and spent the night, but her friend had to leave for work the next morning. Sarah ended up having a seizure in her room the next day and I had to run over there and call an ambulance. When I first got there, Sarah was on the floor, she fell off her bed and hit her head, crying on the phone with Aaron. Aaron was saying things like your friend is fucking useless while Sarah was explaining her friend had to work and could only do so much. I asked why their mom couldn't just come back and stay with her or stayed home in the first place. Sarah just shrugged and continued crying on the phone with her sister, Aaron. There is a deep backstory with their mom. She is a stay-at-home mom, and was not there for them growing up due to addiction, and Sarah doesn't get nearly as much time with her mom as Aaron does now that their mom is California sober, 5-ish months. I notified her family after the ambulance took Sarah to the hospital, and instead of just their mom or dad coming home to sit with Sarah, Aaron canceled the entire trip and everyone came home on the second day of being there. Now Aaron is acting different towards me, almost like they blame me for ruining their trip. Ida, I don't feel like I'm the asshole here, but I also want to consider the possibility that I might be from a different perspective. As a mom, I feel like I did the right thing by my son, and that's all that should matter. Update. I really appreciate everyone's comments. I read everyone's comments, and a lot of you had the same concerns and observations. After dinner tonight, we played a family game and had a good conversation with our sons. Our oldest did admit to feeling like having to babysit the littles, even though we told him he didn't have to, because he's worried about them getting hurt. He also feels like the neighbors take a lot of our time away from our kids, and the neighbors call and ask us over for favors a lot. My husband and I have decided it is best to take a step back for a while and create some distance between the two households. Thank you all for helping me understand and see the situation from a more broad perspective. Next story. Whipped if I tell HR about my past with a new coworker. I, 34 am a lead developer on a team of mid-sized SaaS company that has around 100 or so employees. Basically, we are large enough that there are employees we can see, recognize, but not necessarily know their names. Recently, we had a new hire, Krista 33F, who joined the PM part of the project I am working on. I have a history with Krista from college. In college, I was a lot more in my own shell. I didn't really treat myself well, and was very much the introverted nerd, down to bad posture and poor fashion sense. Krista, she did have quite a few friends in college, but at least in my view she wasn't super popular, but she was well liked and was conventionally attractive. We shared a few classes together and one day asked me for some help on an assignment. I helped her on it and we talked, and from the sound of things, she seemed genuinely friendly to me. I helped her on a few more assignments and finally she asked me if I wanted to meet her after class at a coffee shop and talk. I said sure, and when I got there, Krista was nowhere in sight. I waited about 20 minutes before I called her. She answered and started laughing, and I heard several other voices laughing, Krista saying something like, "Why would I want to date a fat loser like you?" Looked out the front window of the shop and saw one of Krista's friends holding up her camera phone, and it looked like she was recording. Next few weeks there were jokes about me, flyers with my face from the coffee shop vid plastered up with creep in bold letters on top. Kept my head down, and within a month the next big thing popped up on campus and I was forgotten. Didn't stop Krista and her friends from going ew, creep, when they saw me, but I guess for the rest of the campus it got old, so I never got accused of anything, or even really ostracized by the rest of the student body. After college, I did learn about self-care a bit better, plus I usually am with other programmers so I really don't stand out as a social outcast. When Krista was introduced to our team, I don't think she recognized me, and it's only been a week, but I want to know if bringing up the college incident is even worth it for HR. Most of my rational brain really wants to just let this go, treat Krista as a new person, and get on with me, but I have a small fear that she might tell a skewed version of the college events and sour the team I'm on against me, so I should at least disclose to HR so in case she does start telling tales I have recourse. Reddit. Whipped if I told HR about my past with Krista? Update. Whipped if I tell HR about my past with a new coworker? Yesterday some things happened, some bad, mostly good. There were mixed responses, most telling me to tell, but one HR professional saying I shouldn't. Due to the mixed messaging, I did consult a local employment lawyer. The lawyer told me that I should make HR aware of the past I have with Krista, but make it clear that there was never anything disciplinary acted upon me in college. He asked if my job had a copy of my transcript, and I verified that it did. Lawyer asked if there were any third parties that would verify the harassment and see if I could get their names and contact details if needed. I knew 2 people back in college that I still had on my LinkedIn and was certain they would tell the truth, so we were good there. Lawyer told me to just request a meeting with HR and my supervisor, say there was a past with Krista, there was never any charges or disciplinary action, and I have 2 witnesses if they ever need verification. So that was what I did. Friday morning I came into the office and sent HR and my supervisor an email requesting a formal meeting at 10 a.m. My supervisor came to my desk and asked if everything was okay, and wanted to make sure I was happy. I told him everything was fine, I wasn't leaving, and it wasn't anything with him or the team. He seemed relieved, and by 10 a.m., we rolled into the conference room with the HR officer. I thanked them both for taking time out of their day to meet me, and then I did as my lawyer instructed. I said that the new project manager, Krista, was someone I went to college with. She participated in harassment of me in college, detailed how I never had any charges or disciplinary action, and that I had 2 independent witnesses that saw the harassment and gave their contact info. My supervisor seemed shocked, and the HR officer went through the info I gave her for a minute, and then the 2 of them talked for a minute. Finally, Krista was called in. When Krista walked into the conference room and saw me, HR, and the team's supervisor, she seemed shocked. HR started with something like, "We have been told you 2 have a past." Krista sat down and looked pretty shocked throughout. She did admit to the bullying, but tried to reframe it as a misunderstanding repeatedly. She never outright said what the bullying was, but then she was told that since this was an incident in both our past that nobody wants brought up again, that it should stay dead. HR made it clear that this is not to be a funny water cooler story to share. Krista and I both agreed to that, but Krista still looked shaken. Noon was coming up right when the meeting was wrapping up. My supervisor and HR again reiterated, neither of us is to breathe a word about the college incident. We're professionals and we're here to do a job. I went to the break room for lunch, and actually I felt like my appetite has finally returned. The last few days were stress-starving me, to be honest. I sat at a table with the rest of the development team and we started eating. Halfway through my sandwich, another coworker, Sandy 30F, came by and said, "So I heard an interesting story yesterday about you and Krista," with a big grin on her face. She didn't get further because my supervisor was at our table, stood up, pointed at Sandy, and across the room at Krista and said, "You too." Conference room. Now, I wasn't privy to what happened in the conference room, but I did see the HR officer go into the room 2 minutes later, looking pretty pissed and with a mustard stain on her shirt. I guess she got the call and was interrupted during lunch. Not sure what went on. The rest of my team asked what that was. I said I have no idea and just kept eating. 5 minutes later, 2 more coworkers on other parts of the project were brought into the conference room. Lunch ended and we went back to work, but speculation was high. It wasn't until 3 that the conference room finally emptied. Krista looked like she was crying and the others that were in the room with her seemed to treat her quite coldly. Not sure what this will mean, but it appears for now Krista is still working here. But I appreciate the lengths HR and my supervisor are taking to ensure this won't blow up further. Second update. What if I tell HR about my past with a new coworker? Past here. Monday wasn't a shit show, so that was good. My supervisor and the HR officer did bring everyone on the team into the big conference room, for the HR officer said that we are a professional company, and while we do like to have fun, there are company outings like golf, bowling, main event. We are to be strictly professional and not gossip about other coworkers' personal lives. Sandy and the 2 other coworkers who were brought into the conference room Friday looked pretty ashamed during this. Krista was sitting at the other end of the conference room table and there seemed to be a noticeable distance between her and the other employees. My supervisor said he wants to consider this matter closed and for us to get back to offering great solutions to our clients. Everyone filed out of the conference room and went back to work. Lunch on Monday was pretty tense, but Tuesday management had a local Mexican place bring in a Taco Tuesday for us, and the mood improved considerably. I don't gossip, but I did hear murmurs that Krista is now on her final warning and put on a performance improvement plan, all within her first 2 weeks. Not sure how true these rumors are, but with how isolated Krista now appears to be to the rest of the team, it is clear that everyone else is not willing to socialize with her beyond their work functions. I considered this matter closed myself, and if Krista worked hard and got her redemption arc, I'd have been fine with it. But then last night happened. Not sure where Krista got my address, but she was outside my house last night, and luckily my doorbell camera caught it, so I can pretty accurately transcribe it. She rung and asked if we could talk. I said through the digital doorbell there was nothing to talk about, and she better leave because this is now harassment. She pleaded for me to come outside and discuss it. I declined and emphasized she's not welcome. She then said she had a crush on me in college, that her friends found out she asked me to coffee and pressured her to turn it into a harassment campaign, and she was afraid of them disowning her for liking a guy like me. Guys, I wanted to laugh so fucking hard. I was socially awkward back in college, but yet I knew this was bullshit. Hell, I wasn't even interested in Krista for a date. I thought she wanted to be my friend. I told her that I didn't care what she has to say, she has to leave. She told me I could just ask Sandy what she told her and it would clear this all up. I declined and said that this matter in the office is closed. Krista finally made an exaggerated sigh and walked off. I took the video recording from the doorbell and sent it to the employment lawyer and will give it to my supervisor and HR today. I will be shocked if she will last longer than this Friday now. Final update. Whipped if I tell HR about my past with a new coworker? Krista is fired. I didn't even have to send HR the doorbell cam vid, but I did send it to the lawyer I was talking to. Lawyer is drafting a cease and desist and potentially a restraining order if needed. Krista somehow got my address from someone in IT. The IT new hire is suspended because of this data breach and everyone got a memo about data security yesterday morning, including the usual about phishing scams. Krista's desk was empty when I came in yesterday morning, and since I'm taking the necessary legal steps, I'm considering this matter closed. For more stories, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thanks.